Hi, everyone. I am Wendy Batts here with my colleague, Marty Miller. And on this episode of the Master Instructor Roundtable, we have a very special guest. We have Dr. Barry McGlumphy joining us from Penn West, California. And what do we discuss, Marty?
Well, first and foremost, as two alumni, we're very passionate, but we're going to discuss why continuing education, whether it's an undergrad, whether it's a master's, whether it's a doctorate, even a certificate program, is going to take you to the next level as a professional. Episode, I promise you, you're not going to want to miss. So be sure to like, follow, subscribe so you always know what's happening on the Master Instructor Roundtable.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Master Instructor Roundtable. I am Wendy Batts here with my colleague and friend, Dr. Marty Miller. Marty, how's it going?
I'm good, Wendy. How's everything over there in Atlanta?
Everything is fabulous. And today we have a very special guest joining us. We have Dr. Barry McGlumphy joining us from Penn West University. And Dr. McGlumphy he's one of the main reasons I actually got my master's. I know you feel the same, Marty, through Cal U, which is now Penn West. And he's a licensed athletic trainer. He is our program coordinator for the Penn West University 100% online master's degree in exercise science and health promotion. He has spent 20 years on the medical staff of the Philadelphia Eagles as well as the Kansas City Chiefs. And so we are super, super excited to bring Dr. McGlumphy on so we can ask him some questions about the program and talk about some amazing things that are happening with our partnership with NASM.
Barry, it's good to see you as always. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Great to see you guys. Very proud of two very amazing alumni of our program.
It's interesting, Barry. We go back a long way. I remember when you and I took a little different path getting to become NASM instructors. I was kind of encouraged after all my NASM education to go through the first cohort of the Cal U-Penn West, now as we know it, program. And that's what connected me, obviously, beforehand with Rodney Korn, but then Alan Russell was in that cohort. And that got me to the position to interview to become a master instructor. So I did that in 2005. So I must have started the thought process, Barry, back in 2003 to go through the program?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We created the program 2002 and 2003 was our first year. So we're coming up on 25 years, which is really hard to believe, but it's been a great 25 years. We have a lot of amazing alumni that I'm sure we'll talk about that are out there across the country and literally around the world as well.
Yeah, well, Dr. McGlumphy, again, I know all about the program. Marty and I talked about it multiple times on many of our podcasts because, again, it's a huge part of our education, our continuing journey of growth, if you will. And I know many of you guys know Rick Ritchie. He has his podcast with NASM and with Marty and Rick and myself. And if you go back and look at most of the NASM staff have gotten their education through Penn West. But we talk about Cal U-Penn West. Can you talk about why the name change happened? Because I get this all the time. And then also, through that transition, did anything change within the program itself?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I receive that question on a daily basis. So California University of Pennsylvania, that sounds very strange. It's because every state university in Pennsylvania is named after the town that they are located. So yes, there is a California, Pennsylvania. And so we were founded in 1852. So we've been around for a long time. But at some point, the state system of higher education said, how do we take our state universities and combine them or merge them and make them stronger, make the programs more robust? And so they took three universities on the western side of Pennsylvania and created Penn West University. And so that's what we are now. Now, many of us and many of our graduates, including you two, graduated from Cal U. And so when I talk to people, I always make sure I mention Cal U is Penn West. Penn West is Cal U. And in fact, with the merger, the best thing that happened was everything became more efficient. So throughout the university, the processes, policies, etc., are much better than they were even when we were at Cal U. For our programs in exercise science and health promotion, etc., those programs are the same faculty, same curriculum, same schedule as far as completion. Everything's the same. So we want to reassure people that even though the name's different, we're still the same. And as a matter of fact, we refer to us, just so we're clear, we now say Penn West California. So we make sure we cover both bases.
No, I really appreciate that historical background because, that we knew it as Cal U. And, Barry, I'm sure there's multiple places I could throw this in, but for anybody that's listening, I get asked so many times about my career and, things I've done. I don't have the career I have if I didn't go through my master's program at Cal U or Penn West. That set me up to have a chance to work for the Yankees, set me up for me to go earn my doctorate. So if anybody is contemplating where their future goes, I'm going to always encourage you to check out this program, because without it, I'm not the professional I am today. And Barry, that does link back to my question of if you can tell us about the historical relationship between Penn West, California, and NASM.
Yeah, that's another great question. So both of us, both organizations, as far as our program in exercise science at Cal U and NASM really starting to build, they were around for a little while in the 90s, but in the late 90s, I started to talk to a few people with NASM. And we started to talk about how can we create a symbiotic relationship. So both programs are relatively new. My program is brand new. And so how does NASM help Cal U and Penn West ultimately? And then how do we help NASM? And so I was on a flight, of all things, seems like all great stories start with this type of thing. I was on a flight with Jim Thornton, which I believe both of you know. He was a professor in our program for a while. He was the president for the National Athletic Trainers Society Association. And so he and I mapped out basically on a napkin what this program framework could look like, how NASM would be a great partner, and how we could help NASM create some legitimacy by having an academic partner and having degrees associated with their programs. And so that started in the late 90s. When we started the fully online program, 2002, 2003, we embedded NASM certifications right into all of our coursework. We didn't want students having to, go outside of the university, outside of their courses to get their certifications. To this day, that model is still in place, and it's really been great. It's a value added for the student. When they get their degree, they also get one or more certifications as well. And so, fast forward from the early 2000s, I've served on advisory boards for NASM. We've had a lot of master trainers from NASM be faculty in our program or be guest experts in our classes. And so, again, to this day, it is a very, very positive relationship.
It is a very positive relationship, y'all. I teach 100% of my full-time job is teaching for Penn West. I do specifically the NASM courses, and people will say, are you really hard? I'm not hard. I just want you to learn a lot. I want you to be able to put what you're reading in a book into practice. And so I absolutely love my job because I get to work with many people in person. However, being able to be a professor online and teach this, it's an incredible program. I took it. I mean, one of the reasons I am actually teaching is because I believed so much in the program. It wasn't just like, oh, it's just a job. This is something that I really wanted to do, and took forever until now I'm actually tenured at Penn West because of just the ability to expand the knowledge, teach everyone. So when people are talking about mentorships, I tell them, have you looked into going into further education where you can do it online on your own time? And a lot of times people's, eyes and ears perk up because they didn't know that this was out there. But Barry, it kind of leads us into the next, question that I get often, people that are already NASM certified. So if they have their CPT, or if they have a specialization such as the corrective exercise specialization or performance enhancement specialization, what does that mean if someone's like, well, okay, I want to go in and even do the undergrad, but let's use master's, because again, you're the program coordinator for that particular program. What does that mean for someone that already holds those credentials that maybe want to go into rehabilitative science and they already have their CES?
Yeah, so what we want to do is make use of, we call it stacking credentials, getting multiple credentials. Obviously, a lot of people in fitness and wellness and healthcare pursue that model of stacking credentials. We don't want you to have to redo things. So when you enroll in our programs, we give you credit for your certifications, and specifically for NASM certifications. So you may get credit for a full course or more if you already have an NASM certification. And so a lot of those are dependent on the concentration that you choose. But depending on what you choose, we will absolutely work with you. In fact, that's part of the new model. We've expanded our NASM relationship. We're giving credit for more than we ever have over the past 20 plus years. And because we realize professional life experience is high quality, especially when it comes from NASM. And so why would we not give credit to a student in our program? So that's kind of the route we've taken, and we're looking every day to expand that even more.
That's exciting, Barry. And leading into my next question, I think we can build off that. So you talked about people that have experience, but what would you say Penn West, California offers for the students who don't have that college degree, but maybe have some college courses?
Yeah, that's we talk about our master's degree a lot. We actually have a doctoral program as well in our department. But one of the things that we want to do is reach out to all those individuals out there working already, or maybe they just came out of high school and they have an interest in fitness and wellness, that we have a fully online bachelor's degree in exercise science. So you can take it from anywhere in the world. You never have to come to campus. And the program can be completed in 2.5 to 3 years. So if you compare that to a typical on-campus bachelor's degree in exercise science, which would be probably 4 years plus, we can work with you and try to do some extra semesters and actually complete your degree in 2.5 to 3 years. The other real key here is the fact that we accept transfer credit. So Marty, if a student comes to us and they said, well, I did my associates, I really wasn't into that as much, but man, this really sounds attractive, but I want to get credit for some of my work from before. Well, guess what? We're going to work with you. And if you have an associate's, we're wiping out your gen ed requirements, which is all those other courses like art and chemistry and all those other things. We're going to wipe that out and say, all you have to take is the professional major coursework. So for most people, that's a shortened amount of time in school, and that's a big savings financially. And so that's our goal. And then we just created, I'll mention this as well now, Marty, we just created an accelerated degree. So if you do enroll in the bachelor's, we can actually allow you in your junior, senior year to start taking some of our graduate level coursework, our master's degree coursework. And those courses, believe it or not, will count towards both the master's and the undergrad degree. So you're only paying for those courses one time. They count towards both degrees. You save money, you save time. And we're starting to see a lot of people become interested in that program.
Oh, 100%. I know I send people that way all the time, especially as they go through and, we're trying to advise them on what's next. And that's always the big question is what's next? I've done this, now what? And Barry, I think when we talk about the master's program, because there are a lot of people that have bachelor's maybe in something completely different than exercise science. How does that work? So can someone come in and say, now I want to do my master's, in exercise science, but I graduated with a degree in, I don't know, history. I'm just going to make something up. What's the process for something along those lines?
Yeah, that's a great point. We do see a lot of individuals come into our program. who are teachers, maybe have a degree in psychology, but they're fanatical about fitness and wellness. And so maybe that's their hobby now, right? But they want to get the actual education. And so we will accept those individuals into our program. And even students who maybe struggled a little bit in undergrad, we'll give you a shot. We'll give you a chance to do well and earn a good GPA in the first semester or so. So for those individuals, absolutely, we accept people with a wide variety of different backgrounds. And believe it or not, we've even had individuals who have advanced degrees, doctors, chiropractors, physical therapists, athletic trainers, and so on, nurses, enroll in our program because they want the content. They've never received this content in their previous masters, previous coursework, so they come to us for that. I do also want to mention real quick, if you don't want to do a full master's degree, like let's say a second master's, and you have one already, we have certificates. So you can do a certificate in any one of 10 areas. And I'm talking about things like sports psychology, nutrition, sport performance training and injury prevention, wellness coaching, tactical strength and conditioning, and so on and so on. If you just want to take a handful of courses, because you don't want that full degree, you can get the certificate. And nowadays, certificates are every bit as recognized as a full-blown degree. As a matter of fact, our provost just talked to us all about, why don't we add more certificates at our university? We've had it in place for years and years and years, but I don't think enough people know about it and look into it.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is great information, Barry. And before I get to my next question, I'm going to let everybody here know that this episode of the Master Instructor Roundtable is brought to you by NASM-1, the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients, enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access free CEUs and more. All this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM-1. So Barry, you hinted about this. I know a lot of the answers you're going to give, but it grows all the time. So if you can give us an idea of, the graduates from your program representing all 50 states and over 20 countries now, if you could share a little bit about the impressive alumni network, I would love to hear the update.
Yeah, when I get this question, it used to be easy to answer because we didn't have that many. Now we have over 6,000. So it's like, where do I start? Who do I focus on? I'll start with this because this to me is extremely impressive. We have over 200 graduates working in professional sports. And I'm talking about MLB, NFL, NHL, Major League Soccer, et cetera, NBA. And as a matter of fact, you have like here in the Pittsburgh area. So we're south of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. All three major sports have graduates of our program on their either strength and conditioning staff or sports medicine staff. That's one example. There's been a couple of years where we have every team that won a world championship that year. So for all the major sports, had a member of our alumni working on their staff. And so those are just the little nuggets that are really interesting. But beyond those people that are very high profile, and by the way, we have a link. If you want to get in touch with anybody in any one of those sports settings, you just ask me and I'll find somebody who has a connection to us. But what we also want to do is prepare people, and we have a lot of alumni who own their own businesses, a lot of alumni that do that. As a matter of fact, they come to us for our leadership coursework and our business and entrepreneurship coursework, which is embedded in a master's degree. And then we also have people that are working as leaders in all facets of fitness, wellness, and healthcare. So running wellness programs at large corporations, working in injury prevention programs with big companies. And again, being managers at fitness centers, and gyms and so on, all around the country. Our goal is to create leaders, and that's what we've done. And our alumni are the leaders that are out there. As a matter of fact, walk into any facility, mention Cal U, mention Penn West, and somebody will say, hey, so-and-so went there. I guarantee it. It happens to me all the time.
I was just at a conference in Miami. I'm standing there working with Kenotech. Someone comes up and goes, "You were my professor 12 years ago." And before you know it, it was a small world. It was great.
Absolutely.
I get that. And sometimes it's good and bad. I'm like, oh, how did that go? I'm just kidding. It's usually very good, y'all. Just very good. But Barry, the one reason I took or went through the program, again, I didn't know a lot about Cal U at the time. I was starting to teach more and more as a master instructor through NASM. I started to hear more about the partnership myself. I started looking into the different concentrations that were offered. And at that time, it was not even a handful of what we have today. But I was really worried because I was, managing different clubs. I was working over 40 hours a week. I was traveling on the weekends for NASM teaching, but I needed to get my master's because that was what I wanted to do for my next step in my career. So I decided that I was going to go through Cal U, or now Penn West, California, because I was able to take my studies and take my computer with me and be able to do my homework and do all the things that needed to be done for that particular week and do well in my classes, and interacted amazingly well with my cohort and learned so much information. So when somebody comes to you and they say what I did in the very beginning, because again, it's 1 year. I don't think we've emphasized that. You can get your master's in 1 year. But somebody that's like, well, listen, I have a family, I have a job, I have all this. How do I manage time? And does it really factor in? What do we do about that? Because I think coming from you, it sounds better than coming from me.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. 90% of our students over the 20 plus years meet the same profile that you did, Wendy. Mm-hmm. Very busy people. Many of them travel. Many of them have family obligations on top of their work. Many of them work like 60 plus, 70 plus hours a week. And so when we designed the program, the goal was, let's make this challenging, but not overwhelming. And so, and we've tweaked that over the years to even make it better. So if a student comes to me and says, I can only take one course at a time, one per semester, we will work with you and do that. And that's fine. It might take you longer. It will, to complete the program, but we will work with you on that. But for all students, we don't require more than 2 to 3 courses at a given time. Usually it's 2. And so that doesn't overwhelm you. I can do two courses in a 7-week term. That's no problem. I can handle that. And we find that by having modules open in a course on a Monday, and then we close it on a Sunday, the following Sunday, we give you that week to complete that module. Some people get up early in the morning, and while they're eating breakfast, they do some work. Some people wait till lunchtime. I'm going to do my lunchtime on 3 days a week, working on my coursework. Some people wait till closer to the weekend and do their work on the weekend. But in that given week, we want to keep you on track. We don't want it to be completely self-paced. So that's one of the big ways we do it. And then it's absolutely doable in that way. As a matter of fact, I don't get complaints at all. Like you would think over the years that I would have had complaints about this is way too time consuming. And that's just not an issue. So it's definitely doable for sure.
And I'm going to piggyback to one thing as well. When we talk about you open a module, so when we say a module, that just means here's what we're going to be looking into or talking about this week. You have maybe a discussion question, maybe there's an assignment, maybe there's a quiz, maybe there's 2 or 3 of those sprinkled in, depending on whatever concentration you have or whatever course you're taking at the time. But you don't have to meet with your instructor. I do videos all the time. I have you guys submit videos or, if you're in my class, because I want to see how are you performing this exercise? How are you looking at form? So the online interaction between your professor and the student, to me, I think is phenomenal because we really do try to ensure that you're going to walk out, even with hands-on experience, at a distance. And you don't have to say, okay, you have to get online at 11 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to do your lab, let's say, or whatever it is that you're doing. And to your point, Barry, you're just doing it whenever you have time in your schedule. Now, you do have to have some time management because there are things that are due, but it's one of those things where I think we're providing an education in a way to really help our students grow. So even though we're not in a live session hands-on, we're still providing kind of hands-on learning experiences, as well as looking at what other people are providing. And I think that cohort, meaning when you get into your class, you have your classroom and you interact with your peers who, like you said, Barry, may be part of the NFL or are currently in Major League Baseball, but wanted to enhance their education at the same time. So it's been awesome as a professor, but I know as a student, I was blown away with how much I learned even from my peers, along with what I learned from my professors.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people miss, that if you're in a classroom, an online classroom with people who own their own businesses, as you mentioned, maybe work in the NFL, maybe they're a manager at a fitness club somewhere, you're learning as much from them as you are from the faculty member and from the content in the course. And in fact, maybe you're learning more because you're sharing ideas and thoughts literally on a weekly basis all the time. I'm still learning today, every day. And I learn from my students. So you're exactly right, Wendy. It's something that's unique, I think, to education in this type of setting and the way we've created it. I don't even know if other disciplines quite have what we have, so it's very special.
Yeah. And Wendy, you kind of took some of the ideas I was thinking about, so I'll keep it short. But, going through it, and then that opened up my career path with NASM, where some of my colleagues did it afterwards, is, I have a very interesting perspective. And Barry, I've got 3 grown boys, now a grandson. The one thing I try to teach them is pick your hard. Yeah, it can be challenging for a short period of time because you're adding something to your schedule. But Barry, when I look back at my master's program, I don't ever, I can't even remember when I did it. Did I have a sleepless night? I don't remember it. I just remember the benefits that have happened in the countries I've seen because NAS have sent me someplace, all the opportunities I've had. That got wiped out of my brain, the little bit of sacrifice I might have had to make for that short period of time. But now I look at all the benefits I reap from it. So I think if people can put that in perspective, that you're adding something to your schedule, you're going to have to make a small sacrifice here and there. But when you look back, you won't remember that part of it. You just now have so many other options. So yeah, I have one last question. There's so many more things I could dive into, but what would you say the key reasons fitness professionals should enroll or do enroll into the Penn West California programs?
Yeah, I think it's very individualized, but I would say there are some main categories. So we have individuals that come to us because they've never really had a formalized degree. So maybe they don't have, as I mentioned earlier, that bachelor's degree, or maybe they've had a bachelor's for a long time and they're trying to advance in their setting. Let's say they're a personal trainer working at a club and they're trying to advance, and they see all around them only the people that have a master's degree are moving up. And so we're the opportunity to still work full time. Like you say, Marty, put your nose to the grindstone and just go after it for a year and then get that master's degree. And now you're making more money. You have much greater career opportunities in your current setting and maybe even moving somewhere else. And so that's another reason. We also see individuals, and I touched on this a little bit, who really want to go out there and start their own business or be an entrepreneur. And to my surprise, there's been way more people that fit that profile than I ever thought. And when I looked at our alumni list not too long ago, I said, wow, this person owns their own business. So does this person. And I went on. And it's across the board. Some of them, it's personal training, but some of them created a product and they're selling a product. And so a lot of people come to us for that. And then we have people that just are, that, as I mentioned, our fitness professionals and wellness professionals are fanatical about what they do. They want to learn. That's why so many workshops and conferences are filled all the time across the country, because people want to learn. And so we're here to provide that for an individual, a professional who needs that, whether it be a bachelor's degree, a master's, or a doctoral degree. So we can, or a certificate, and we can fit all of those, requirements and needs for you. So that's I could probably identify a lot more, Marty, but that's basically the key groups you see.
Well, and I think it's important what you just said. We have bachelor's, master, and doctorate. So what do you want? Basically, Penn West can provide that for you. But the last question that I have, Barry, and this is usually sometimes even a start of a question that someone might have. I'm interested in continuing my education. However, how much does it cost? And I do want you to throw into, Barry, a little bit about people that have been in the military, because I think sometimes what Penn West offers for our people that have been through the military or are still in the military that are in our program, which I find fascinating because I have a lot of those students in my class. What is it about the pricing? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. One of the benefits of us being a state university, so we're in the state system of higher education, as I mentioned, that means our tuition level is way lower than most private universities. And so we'll start with that. So right from the get-go, tuition is lower. We also have opportunities, especially at the undergrad level, for grants and scholarships, et cetera. And then there's some of that at the master's level as well. So is it affordable? Absolutely. I've compared the pricing to other programs around the country, on-campus programs and online, and we're absolutely not only competitive, but extremely attractive compared to other programs. And so it is attractive. Military, we've had a lot of alumni. I should have mentioned that. A lot of alumni who are active duty military, maybe reserves, or maybe retired military, that have used their military benefits to go through our program. We've designed the tuition cost so that they can use every bit of their dollar that they get from the federal government to cover everything. And so we don't want them, okay, you pay this much through the military benefits, and then we're going to charge you X amount more. It covers everything. So it becomes very attractive. And I believe, I'd have to double check this one, but we also at one time had that open to military spouses as well. And so we would give that same low rate to spouses of military personnel. And then the last thing I'll mention related to this is that the NASM, the new enhanced relationship, actually, since we are allowing more credit to be given to an NASM member or someone who's been credentialed through NASM, because of that, we could save probably in the master's degree around $5,000 a year or for the whole program. And so that's significant. And we weren't able to do that before, but we're able to do that now. So I would encourage you, if you're not NASM credentialed yet, go do it and then apply for our program, because you'll have a great cost savings enrolling in our program. So that's, it's affordable. Absolutely. And there's always a way. I've talked to so many students about so many different scenarios that I could answer any question now regarding finances. So, and I'd be happy to do that.
I love it. Well, Barry, I think my final thing is, if you had to, because we've talked about a lot of information. We've talked about the programs, the different concentrations. We talked about it being 100% online, you can complete it in a year if you decide to do your master's. But if you had to say what your key takeaways are, if I said, Barry, give us the key takeaways of, if they'd only listen to the very end of this podcast, what should they walk away with? And, what do they do next? If they're interested, where do they go and what do they do next?
Yeah. Well, I would say the key takeaway is there's no time like the present to go ahead and pursue that degree that you've been looking to pursue maybe for a while. And so you can get on to our website, pennwest.edu, and do a search for exercise science, and you can find all three levels, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree information on that. And then you can apply from there. You can also email me, McGlumphy, my last name, at pennwest.edu, and I'll answer any questions that you may have. So I'll be able to, happy to help you there. And don't forget, Wendy and Marty have both mentioned this, 100% online, affordable, absolutely doable with your current work schedule. And ultimately, I would love to see you get your degree Whether you get it somewhere else, that's fine with me too. But I would love for you to take a close look at Penn West, because I think we have the highest quality out there. And Marty and Wendy are both proof of that. So high
thanks
quality.
so much for that, Barry. We appreciate you. And, Wendy's heard me say this 1,000 times, and I know she agrees. Education is an investment, not an expense. We're proof of that. And the two race with no finish line are education and fitness. So why would you not want to pursue that next level degree and see where it takes you? So, Barry, we can't thank you enough for what you've done for the field and the industry, but also, the friendship and partnership we have with you here at NASM.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do consider you both great friends. So that's the other little special thing that comes out of getting your degree.
There you go. Well, Barry, I'm sure we'll have you back at some point, but thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you both. Have a great day.
Thanks, Barry.
Not shocking. Barry comes with great knowledge, energy. The program continues to grow, and it's without a doubt the best career decision I've ever made after I knew what path I wanted to as a youngster, getting into sports medicine. But I know my career is really been pivotally changed its trajectory forever once I decided to get that master's degree.
Marty, I teach for them. If you would have asked me 20 years ago, what are you going to be doing? I just assumed I would be working in a gym or owning my own gym. And then when I went through the program, I loved it so much. I literally was like, okay, people, they asked, do you want to teach the NASM content? And I was like, sign me up. Right. And absolutely. And that was in 2007. I've been teaching y'all for the program since 2007. And I love my job.
Yeah. And I've had the privilege of being an adjunct from time to time since 2007. So Wendy, I'm glad because you're so close to it and, thought about this topic. I think it's a perfect time with, people looking at what they want to do as they move into 2026. So thank you for that. And Wendy, do you want to share your contact information? Because I'm sure people might be asking us more information as to how to get a hold of Barry or Penn West or wherever their questions may go.
Yes. If you guys have questions about the program and you did not or were not able to get Barry's email, you can always email me at wendy.batts@nasm.org, and I can kind of guide you in the right direction, or you can find me on Instagram at wendy.batts13.
And my information is right here, dr.martymiller72 for Instagram, and marty.miller@nasm.org. So Wendy, thanks again for bringing this topic. And for all of you that consistently watch us, we can't thank you enough. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow so you never miss an episode. And most importantly, we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Master Instructor Roundtable.